everybody, Mike Banner here for our first 62 Who Knew live edition. Also our first 62 Who Knew professional edition. We've made a change in our concept. Our 4 shows that we do every week, every month, they are consumer facing. Our audience is now way into the tens of thousands. So starting today, the first 3 shows of every month are going to be consumer facing. The 4th show is going to be 62 Who Knew professional version, where we are going to be inviting certified financial planners, independent financial advisors, insurance agents of all types to join us. We welcome our consumers. We always welcome you. You made us grow. But this is the professional edition. And today we're bringing back a couple of people. This will be their 3rd time on. The great people from Cornerstone Financial with the incredible product Chiefs. I'm going to do a brief resume or bio on both of them because their bios are incredible. And they've been here before because I want to get right to what we're doing, because I am hoping, beyond hope, that thousands, tens of thousands, millions of financial advisors are listening to this. And our topic is so, I don't know, what would be the words, guys? Timely and relevant. This specific topic is timely and relevant. So let me introduce first Mr. Craig Korn, founder, CEO, and managing partner, a seasoned leader in the reverse mortgage industry. He co-founded Cornerstone Financial, LLC, and served as CEO of Reverse Mortgage Investment Trust. Notably, Craig has held past roles at MetLife and co-led Everbank Reverse, both of which, by the way, grew to be the largest independent reverse mortgage companies in the country. His career includes senior positions at Lehman Brothers, SBC, Warburg, where he pioneered proprietary reverse mortgage products and securitizations. Craig's extensive expertise drives ongoing innovation and growth, making a significant impact on the industry. And of course, Chiefs is maybe bigger than anything you already did. And of course, a very close friend and confidant. Welcome, Mr. Korn. Thank you for being here.
It's great to be here again. Thanks for those kind words.
All righty. And now Dan's bio, even a brief bio, is a bit longer, okay? But even the brief bio, I feel like David Letterman here doing the top 10. Dan co-founded Cornerstone Financing with the initial vision of helping trusted wealth and insurance advisors utilize their clients' greatest dormant asset, home equity, to more efficiently fund insurance premium. This vision has ultimately broadened out to what Cornerstone is ultimately developed into today. Dan is a seasoned veteran of the insurance industry with 2 successful entrepreneurial ventures, both with highly successful and nationally well-known exits. Dan's visionary approach to creating seamless, personalized wholesale insurance execution has led to the 2006 launch of Madison Brokerage, later sold to Acrisure. Am I saying that right? Acrisure?
Acrisure.
Okay. Acrisure, the world's 6th largest insurance broker, where up until September of 24th, Dan led that company's wholesale life premium platform. Welcome back, Dan, your 3rd time. We're going to get right to this because our topic today is Roth IRA conversions, which is on the tip of pretty much every financial planner's tongue in the country. But not as easily said as done. So we're going to be doing a few things. Did you want to do anything before we actually start? Do you want to get as basic? Because we are going to have 5,000 or 10,000 consumers watching this, along with financial planners. Would you like to start out with the simplicity of what is an IRA Roth and how it compares to a normal IRA or a Roth IRA?
Yeah. Craig, do you want to high level that
I'm
response?
happy to.
And then I'll jump right in, Craig. Yeah. High level.
I'm happy to. So, Mike, as you know, as your audience knows, a lot of people will take some of their wages and plow it into a 401k. Sometimes advisors recommend that their clients use an IRA as opposed to, let's say, a 401k. And that's all pre-tax dollars that are going into those plan accounts. And what happens, of course, is at some point down the road, when you hit your early 70s, you're required to start taking money out of those 401ks. They're called required minimum distributions. And all of those distributions are taxable at current tax rates at that time. So what happens? your IRA or your 401k grows and grows and grows over 20, 30, 40 years. And now you have these distributions that you have to take out no matter the market environment, and they're all taxable. So why do advisors think about Roth conversions? Is they want to turn that upside down. They want to result in a situation where those assets can actually grow tax-free. And on top of that, eliminate required minimum distributions so that they don't have to sell their portfolio or a portion of their portfolio when the stock market's down 20%. That's the thesis behind what people do today and what they're trying to do around Roth conversions.
Well done. There's a reason why he's my partner.
Well, thank you for that. I'm sure my consumers that watch the show all the time appreciate that. But let's get into the big problem. Dan, let's start really with the big picture. Advisors understand Roth conversions, but execution often lags, more often than not. From your perspective, where's the breakdown? Why, okay, let's do this, but then it never happens. Why?
Well, Michael, before we get there, let me set the stage on the opportunity that's in front of us with Roth opportunities. Today, there's 45 trillion of qualified assets that exist, and it's an intersection between 45 trillion of qualified assets meets 35 trillion of existing home equity. That's dormant home equity. 41% of every home in the U.S. is debt-free. There's a massive opportunity to reposition efficiently home equity to tackle the funding opportunity and or tension that's existed with a Roth conversion. Only 1.4 trillion of that 45 trillion has been Rothicized or converted. That's less than 5%. So there's $43.5 trillion of qualified assets that are out there that should be qualified. And unfortunately, that 1.4 trillion that is already Roth converted, the attributes with that 1.4 trillion is highly compelling. It is lifetime tax-free opportunity for growth, and more importantly, it's lifetime distribution tax-free. Enormous optionality, obviously. Advisors understand and know they're powerful. The challenge is the real blocker isn't the strategy, it's the liquidity and the tax friction, as I said earlier. The opportunity isn't lack of awareness, it's lack of efficient funding.
So to put it in layman's terms, they want to make the conversion, but there's going to be an expense to it. And where do I get that money?
Exactly. You asked the question earlier, why traditional funding breaks down. Its liquidity crunch has ramifications. That's the big issue. Selling investments can disrupt portfolios or trigger capital gains. Just imagine selling your investment portfolio, chunk in your investment portfolio. The last 2 years, for instance, the S&P 500 has a 41% increase in value. So there's going to be gains associated with selling your non-qualified investment portfolio to pay for the tax attributes associated with a Roth. Massive friction. And more importantly, that investment advisor loses the asset, loses the opportunity and the optionality of growing that asset at a potentially 10, 12, 15, 42% as we experienced in the last 24 months. And as I said, they forfeit the opportunity. You can't borrow. Borrowing introduces debt, payments, and it has balance sheet risk. As a result, clients delay the execution of Roth strategies because of the funding conundrum. Say that 5 times fast. There's a funding conundrum associated with Roth conversions. We're addressing that. We've developed a product called Chiefs, Converting Home Equity into Financial Success. And again, it's not a misprint or a misspelling. We spell it the right way, CHEIFS.
That's right.
Very clever. Thank you. The way the product works is as follows, and I'm going to say this again, being from New Jersey, New York area, I actually speak kind of fast. And by the way, I failed to mention, I'm not Robert Downey Jr. I've heard numerous occasions that I actually look like him, and now I'm starting to sound like him. But for those that are seeing this
you
live,
know what? Now that you say that, you do.
It's amazing.
Oh
so it's funny. I put the glasses on, and by the way, these glasses aren't a prop. I actually need them. So before we did this, Michael, this live session, I've had 3 of my associates go, "Oh my God, there he is! There's Robert Downey Jr." So I'll be signing autographs after the session.
Mike, AKA Iron Man.
Iron Man, yeah, exactly. Well, we can. He's Iron Dan. So Chiefs,
Chiefs.
Chiefs.
Wait a minute. Okay, that's it. we're going viral with Iron Dan. That's it.
It's Iron Dan. Yeah, thank you, Michael.
I
So
like
Chiefs,
it.
yeah, so let's get into Chiefs, how it works. Chiefs is a non-debt solution where we, Cornerstone, purchase a fractional portion of a homeowner's equity and provide tax-free funds while the homeowner keeps ownership and control of their home. That's powerful. So you no longer have you still have that emotional connection to your home. But what we're introducing is a strategic opportunity to convert that equity into success. And success differs for anybody and everybody. Today, we're going to talk about success in a Roth conversion. So the product works as follows. For every 1% of the home we invest, our equity position increases ultimately to 2.25 times the initial amount over time. I'll say it again, Michael, because again, you had a difficult experience about a week ago understanding this. For every 1% investment we make in a home, our equity position gradually increases over time to 2.25 times that amount. Again, this is a non-debt, no financial underwriting. We underwrite the equity in the home. Chiefs proceeds can be repaid at any time at a 12.99% annualized cost prior to reaching the ownership cap. Once the cap is met, we're froze. At that time, when the individual exits the home, voluntary or involuntary is death, voluntary is sale or repayment, we receive our fractional percentage of ownership based on the property's value, whether it's up or down. So we've got downside risk. So there's no debt, no monthly payments, and there's no term to our product. So you take those attributes and you align that with a Roth conversion, extremely compelling. How's that, Mr. Banner?
Mike, one of the things that we found when Dan and I stood up Cornerstone Financing is that, and Dan has 40 plus years of experience in supporting advisors, so he knows this better than maybe anybody in the country, that every solution starts with, where am I going to find the money? And it doesn't matter what the solution is. It could be, I want to buy another house. It could be, I want to buy long-term care insurance. It could be, I want to pay the taxes associated with doing a Roth conversion. But it starts and unfortunately oftentimes ends with, where do I find the money?
Yeah, so thank you, Craig. Let's sit back to more of the product and why we think responsible home equity conversion makes sense for this audience and every audience. As I said earlier, U.S. homeowners are sitting on $35 trillion of dormant home equity. 41% of every home obviously is debt-free. And it's often the largest, least optimized asset on the balance sheet. So for the first time ever, we're giving the financial professional, the advisor, the option to include dormant home equity as an active asset class through Chiefs. That's powerful. Home equity can be repositioned without loans, payments, or a forced timeline. Again, repositioned without a loan, without a payment, without a timeline. Again, there's no term on our product. This reframes home equity as a planning asset, not as a last resort tool. I mean, Craig's prior career, and there's a reason he got out of it. Reverse mortgages are often a last resort tool. A Chief is the smart, prime, strategic product. It's not a last resort tool. But could it be a reverse substitute? Of course it can be. It's the smart product to obviously look as an alternative versus a reverse. This isn't borrowing against the home. It's reallocating dormant capital into an asset class. So Craig, do you want to talk about how the math has been proven? How does this work? How do advisors benchmark this?
So Mike, let me share with you a real story, you and your audience. And, Dan and I, again, we started this company. We had a vision of the kind of things that Chiefs and home equity could be used to fund. But it's safe to say we're not the smartest people on the planet. And we're often surprised when advisors come up to us with solutions that we just hadn't considered. And using home equity via Chiefs to fund Roth conversions was something that kind of caught us by surprise in a very, very pleasant way.
And powerful.
So last year,
Yeah.
towards the back end of the year, one of the advisors that we know well approached us and shared with us the following about their client. 55-year-old with roughly $1 million in their 401k, and they own a $2 million home mortgage-free. There are a lot of people in this country that look like that person. This particular client desires to retire at age 70. And at age 70, they want to have $150,000 a year of after-tax income indexed for inflation at 3% per year. That's what they desire. So the advisor approached us and said, I have two ideas around how to fund the Roth conversion taxes. I can do it the traditional way. I could pay the nearly $350,000 in taxes associated with doing the conversion by liquidating $350,000 from their 401k portfolio, which would leave $650,000 in that investment portfolio to support their retirement income needs going forward. That's the traditional way of funding a Roth conversion. Or
Right.
we could sell a fraction of their home via Chiefs to raise the $350,000 to pay the Roth conversion taxes and leave the full $1 million in their investment portfolio to support their future retirement income needs. So that's the picture. What did we do? We modeled both scenarios in Innsmark's Wealthy and Wise Plus technology. Mike, you might remember we struck a strategic relationship with Innsmark a few months ago where the Chiefs product and program are integrated right into their financial planning technology. Here are the results, and they're stunning. Using Chiefs to fund the Roth conversion generated 60% more retirement income, over $4.1 million additional after-tax dollars, versus using plan assets to fund the Roth conversion. This means the client gets 12 more years of retirement income. Let me repeat that. 12 more years. The results are extraordinary. In fact, they're life-changing. But let me break it down even further, Mike, because I think your customers, consumers, as well as advisors really need to hear this. When using plan assets to fund the Roth conversion, this client ran out of portfolio assets at age 84. At that point, they were forced to sell their house. And the net proceeds from the house sale allowed the client an additional 11 years of retirement income before all sources of cash flow were extinguished at age 95. In other words, Mike, at age 95, they were completely out of money. Well, when using Chiefs to fund the Roth conversion, the client ran out of portfolio assets at age 100. Why? Because they had a lot more portfolio assets by doing the Roth conversion using home equity via Chiefs. This also means, Mike, and this is important, you've been in the reverse mortgage space a long time, the client gets to live in their house for an additional 16 years versus using plan assets. That's an additional 16 years of aging in their own home.
In place.
So,
aging in place, which is on the tip of everybody's tongue.
Mike, as you know, Dan's been doing this for a long time. People want to age in their home, and they don't want to outlive their money. So, at this point, using Chiefs to fund the Roth conversion, the client will be required at some point to sell their house because portfolio assets don't last forever. And the net proceeds from the sale of that house allow them to generate additional retirement income until age 107.
So, Craig, 107 is a long runway. obviously with additional
Yeah.
4.1 million of additional after-tax dollars, you could accelerate even greater income. I don't know many 107-year-olds. There's a lot of 95-year-olds, 93-year-olds, 92-year-olds that are looking for additional income.
Yeah.
So there's an optionality here to draw down even further versus the stated 155, 150, which I think is a 3% inflation on there.
I'll take it one step further, Dan. Think about all those things that happen to people as they get older. They have long-term care needs that are unexpected. Stuff happens.
Yep.
And using Chiefs
Yeah.
to affect the Roth conversion and allowing more portfolio assets to remain fully invested for longer allows them to have the ultimate optionality around future funding of whatever comes their way.
So, Craig, what does the output look like in Wealthy and Wise? Is it a spreadsheet? Is it words? I mean, tell the audience what the actual output looks like.
So this technology has been around for 40 years. It's been used by tens of thousands of insurance and financial advisors over that period of time. And the output is really very simple. It's numerical, just literally year by year by year of what happens if you, in this case, use plan assets to pay for the Roth conversion, or what happens each year in terms of your status if you use Chiefs to fund the Roth conversion. It will show the amount of after-tax income that's generated each year. It will show the client's liquid assets at the end of each year, and it will show the client's ultimate net worth at the end of each year. Literally side by side by side.
That's fantastic. So what I heard is as follows. Chiefs allows plan assets to stay intact longer and invested for a longer period of time. Number one. Two, 55-year-old, additional 12-year runway of income or age 107. Also allowing that individual to age in place for an additional 16 years in their own home. Lastly, resulted in a $4.1 million increase in after-tax dollars. That's just this example. So, Craig, I think somebody at this table recently did a Roth conversion under this exact same strategy.
Dan, I'll go back to what I said before. Getting into the insurance and financial advisor space on such an intimate level with the thousands of advisors that we've spoken with over the past 12 months, I've learned a lot of stuff. And what I've learned is the power of a Roth conversion. So I actually converted a portion of my portfolio at the end of 2025 because I saw the power in allowing my plan assets to grow tax-free without having to address required minimum distributions, which means I don't have to worry about the stock market being down 25% when I'm age 73. And that's really valuable.
Are you turning 65? Well, if so, the most important decision in your life right now is to determine which Medicare plan you need to be on for your unique changes in life. Are you still working? You on your employer's plan? How about being a snowbird? If so, you need to speak to a Medicare consultant who can help you with your needs. I'm Diane Daniels, and I'm the CEO of Medicare Nation. Go to www.62whoknew.com and click on the Medicare Nation tab. I will give you a free consultation to make sure we find the right plan for your unique needs.
What's the biggest threat to your retirement savings? It's not the stock market. It's the cost of long-term care. Home care, assisted living, or nursing facilities can drain your life savings in just a few years. That's why long-term care insurance isn't a luxury. It's a necessity. It protects your assets, preserves your independence, and gives your family peace of mind. Don't leave your future to chance. Visit 62whoknew.com and start planning the retirement you deserve.
It's fantastic. So I guess the obvious question is, Michael, I'm stealing your thunder. I think I should be the moderator here. Logical question is, why should advisors care?
Yeah, why should they care? And again, I want you to do, you covered something that I think a good percentage of financial advisors are going, yeah, that makes sense. Some of my consumers are probably going, don't get it. But yeah, get directly into, because we've gone over the bullet points. Why should a financial advisor care? The combination of of decreasing the AUM, the increased life. I think that bears repeating. I kind of wish, I know we're going to do it on the edited version. I wish we had a slide we could pull up. These are 4 bullet points that are life changing. I mean, you're increasing the life of your portfolio. I wish we need to do that on the next one. But yeah, dig down deeper for a financial planner that goes, yeah, I know, we've discussed Roth conversions. It's a rough conversation. It costs my clients money. Yeah, I'm kind of staying away from it. We got to convince them not to stay away from it.
Yeah, great. So let me respond to that. And I know Craig is dying to say something. I'm going to give him the microphone after I say my couple words. One, it deepens the planning conversation with you and your client to initiate another conversation. And you're bringing another strategic solution that obviously makes sense. We've demonstrated it. And obviously, once you're on the Innsmark platform to see Wealthy and Wise, the power of status quo versus chiefs, you're going to be sold. And then lastly, we're providing portfolio protection for the wealth advisor. And what I mean by that, you're retaining all the assets and it's stickier asset, which has some value. And we solve the tax income need, that lifetime need. We're enhancing that lifetime need. We're increasing, the dollars for, as Craig said earlier, those unexpected events, whether it's a long-term care event or creating a legacy for children or grandchildren, which is powerful. And it also positions the advisor as a solutionist, a problem solver, not just a product seller. And again, they're not cannibalizing their own book to satisfy a Roth conversion, which decreases AUM. This increases AUM and keeps AUM stable. And more importantly, it's the only opportunity in the US where you get guaranteed, tax-free, lifetime accumulation and distribution. So everybody should obviously recontemplate a Roth conversion, assuming they've got adequate equity in their home.
That scenario that you just brought up with the $2 million house free and clear, and it's going to cost them, X amount of dollars. In that particular mathematics scenario, not only is he going to do his Roth conversion, but correct me if I'm wrong, with that much equity, he could have taken another $100,000 and done a single premium long-term care policy that could be worth 7 figures in 20 years and be throwing off what, $25,000, $30,000 a month in long-term care for him and his wife. I mean, the uses of this are going to bring financial planning to a different level. People aren't used to thinking like this. Even
Mike, it goes
planners.
back to what we were saying before. It all comes down to, where do I find the money to affect whatever solution makes the most sense for their client? And, Dan's background is insurance industry distribution, working with, independent agents and RIAs and wealth managers for their, long-term care, life insurance, and annuity needs. Obviously, a Roth conversion is not a life insurance, annuity, or long-term care solution, but in a lot of ways, it might be the most important solution. And that is, how do I best ensure that my client does not outlive their assets? Like, that's it at the end of the day. And as Dan said before, and it's so worth repeating, anytime you can set your full portfolio in a position where A, it can grow tax-free in perpetuity, B, not be subjected to market volatility because of required minimum distributions, it gives you the greatest opportunity to generate the money that you need to not only live the lifestyle you want to live, but to potentially leave something behind for your children, to potentially fund long-term care if you need to somewhere down the road. That's really what this is all about. And as Dan and I continue this journey, we're just finding so many more applications for how financial advisors and insurance agents are positioning their clients, utilizing home equity via Chiefs to create better outcomes. Because ultimately, that's really what it's all about, is creating better outcomes for their clients.
All right, let's throw this in very quickly. There's going to be people, consumers, active consumers going, okay, I like this. And there's going to be planners going, I'm learning, but I'm not going to become an expert at this in 30 minutes of watching 62 Who Knew. So for all of you, consumers and financial planners alike, go to www.62whoknew, scroll down a little. You'll see Chiefs is prominently displayed. Their website is very interactive, and you'll enjoy it. You also can contact me directly, mbanner@62whoknew.com. There is also ways to contact Chiefs experts through their website that you can access through 62whoknew.com. And I invite you to do that, because even the first time, well, we're going over a year now, that you both said to me, this is about the fractional sale of equity of your home. I know I went, yeah, what the hell is that? And I've talked about it so much. I've had people go, oh, fractional sale. And I give the same reply that you two taught me. Have you ever went to an ATM machine and taken $500 out of your checking account? Yeah. Well, you just took a fractional portion of your assets out. Have you ever sold a portion of your stock or anything, gone to any account, crypto, and sold a portion of it? Yeah, all the time. Well, you're selling a fractional part of the equity of that account. Why not with your house that has $1 million or more of equity? And then they get it. But when they first think about it, the house seems to be, why would anybody sell the fractional sale of anything? Everybody that's listening here sells the fractional sale of something every day.
You're 100% right. People every day are making decisions around how best to allocate their assets, which by definition means sell X to get Y, whatever that may be. One of the things that we're addressing at Cornerstone is this distinction between home ownership and home equity. And this is an incredibly important distinction. Mike, you know this. You've been in, again, the reverse mortgage space for a long time. We at Cornerstone appreciate the emotional importance of home ownership. At the end of the day, people are attached to their homes. But home ownership has absolutely nothing to do with home equity. Home equity should be seen as an unemotional, current asset, as any other current asset that they may have in their overall portfolio. And to your point before, treated no differently than selling or going to an ATM and taking out 5% of their checking portfolio, or selling 20% of their investment portfolio to pay the taxes associated with the Roth conversion. It's all the same. And what's really extraordinary about Chiefs is that you don't have to choose between the two. You get to have your cake and eat it too. You get to have your home ownership cake, stay in your house as long as you want. It's your house. You retain it. But you don't have to have 100% of the home equity. You can sell some of it to do something that's really thoughtful, that results in a game-changing outcome.
And still have the quiet enjoyment of your home for you and your family for as long as you want. You're never going to get a call from Cornerstone Financial going, okay, it's been 18 years. You have to sell your house. No, that doesn't happen. Something that I speak about when I speak around the country of the use of home equity during retirement, which I've always found chilling, to be honest with you, even though the study is, the first study was 12 years ago, but it has repeated itself. And, when people come on a podcast or people do a television commercial or anything, they're selling. Hey, this is my product. You should buy Nikes. It's got, Michael Jordan. It'll make you dunk a basketball. I want you to buy a Buick rather than a Mercedes. People sell. But the fact that we are all living longer, and I know this is very self-serving, but that's the whole purpose of 62 Who Knew. Who knew you're going to live for another 30 years past 60 or 62? There is a study that is done, numerous studies, but most of them are in the Northeast, for the last 12 years. And please, all the viewers, from financial planners to consumers, Google this right now or use ChatGPT, which I'm addicted to. There has been a study being done actually for 3 decades, but for the last 12 years, these numerous studies, they always ask seniors, people above 62 years old, they put them in a huge room with 1,000. I think a lot of it happens in Boston College or Boston University. So they'll have like 1,000 people in there between 62 and 65. All income levels, all colors, all religions, all everything. And for almost 3 decades, they listed the greatest fear of somebody approaching Social Security, approaching Medicare, 62 to 65. And for most of the last 30 years, the number one fear was death, mortality. I mean, I'm 67. I think about that more than I've ever thought about it. Everybody, as they're approaching Social Security, should I take it? Should I defer? When you're in your 20s and 30s, you're invincible. When you're in your 50s, you know you got a lot of time. In your 60s, you start thinking about mortality. And that's what it was for 2.5 decades. And again, to all our viewers, Google these studies. They're numerous. Until 12 years ago. 12 now years in a row, these numerous studies, death has moved to the number 2 fear of older Americans in this country. Death moved to number 2. What's number 1? Running out of money before they die. That, to this day, and Craig, you've heard me speak publicly. How many times have I said this? 10,000 times in front of a public, in front of a group, in front of an audience? It still gives me the chills. In the greatest country in the world, our senior citizens, our moms, our dads, wealthy, middle class, lower income class, they're not fearing death. They're fearing running out of money before they die. That is a staggering note on society today. And Chiefs, in many, many ways, is an answer on several different levels to these people. I mean, I know we love the $2 million house, you know, that when somebody comes and does a $200,000 or $300,000 Chiefs, but I think it's important that that person with a $500,000 house that's free and clear, he doesn't have that much in his 401k, but he can take 125 grand out of that and
That's
fund
exactly right.
a Roth IRA or fund a single premium. So I love the 2 million and the 3 million. Those are the ones I want to do. But my God, how much of mass America has a $500,000 to $750,000 house with either no mortgage or a very small mortgage? To me, Chiefs opens up every product that upper income America has always been used to having, can now have with Chiefs. And I know I overuse this word. I think that's a staggering statement.
Well done.
Hey, Mike, just what's interesting about, someone with a $500,000 home versus, let's say, someone with a $2 million home, important for the advisors who, will ultimately be looking at this podcast and hopefully be subscribing to 62 Who Knew in the future. Our typical Chiefs customer is someone with a $1.9 million house. So this $2 million property that we did this Roth conversion on was not unusual. And as you know, Mike, I mean, there's been such a great run up in home prices over the last, 4 or 5 years post COVID that there's an awful lot of people with a lot of home equity. They want to age in place. In a lot of cases, they have other assets to fund the kind of solutions that their advisors are recommending. But in many cases, and the Wealthy and Wise technology supports this, home equity via Chiefs is the best way to do it. And that's what's so powerful about our partnership with Innsmark, is that any advisor, just go to innsmark.com and they can see for themselves that if their client does literally nothing with their current situation, this is how it's going to play out over time. If a client uses existing non-housing assets to fund whatever solution makes the most sense, this is how it plays out. And of course, if they use home equity via Chiefs, this is how it plays out. For an advisor, that means they're literally putting in front of their homeowner client 3 different options. Do nothing, use non-housing assets, use housing assets to affect the solution that they're recommending. For any advisor who has a best interest standard or a fiduciary duty, having options that demonstrate which option makes the most sense is the most important way to comply with those standards.
And when you both were kind enough to take the time last week to go on Innsmark and show me the graph of the cost of Chiefs, because everything's got a cost. Long term, Chiefs is very, very inexpensive capital. And again, you have to be looking at that graph to go, this is what it is if I use my own assets. Hey, I'll just say it. This is what it is if I use a reverse mortgage Although you got to be 62 to get a reverse mortgage. So that cuts out, you know, how many tens of millions of people in their 50s, which is when they should be doing this. Here's what I do with Chiefs. And it tracks the cost. And it was staggering to me how inexpensive, I know I'm not supposed to say cheap, it's not right, how inexpensive the cost of funds for Chief is in the latter parts of people's lives. The longer you keep this, am I oversimplifying it, guys? The
No,
longer
Mike,
you keep this, the least expensive it is.
You're hitting the nail on the head.
Yeah.
As you know, Mike, with most products, if you're in it for a year or two, they tend to be expensive. If you're in it for a longer period of time, they tend to be less expensive. And Chiefs are exactly like that. They're intended to be intermediate to long-term type of asset allocation. I guess that's just the best way to say it. Mike, I want to go back to something that you said before, and it's about kind of changing the paradigm. We talked a little bit about the difference between home ownership versus home equity. Dan talked before about this, you know, product of last resort being reverse mortgages. We believe it's really important for advisors not to be waiting until someone is 85 years old and they literally have no assets other than their home to do a reverse mortgage or anything else. They're doing something at the very worst time. What they should be doing, to your point before, Mike, is in their 50s, doing the kind of things that really sets the stage for the next 20, 30, 40, 50 years. And that's what's important about thoughtful planning as opposed to reactive planning. And that's where Chiefs plays an important role in the context of insurance and financial planning.
You mentioned about comparing and contrasting, you know, home equity, reverse versus Chiefs. When Innsmark was contemplating bringing Chiefs into their environment, they went out to their advisor population and said, all right, what else do you need in this module? And we heard loud and clear that the audience wants to see, well, how does Chiefs compare to traditional debt instruments like a HELOC and like a reverse? It's included in the Wealthy and Wise module. So you could bring that client that down the journey, the Roth journey, do as Craig said, option one, option two, the Chiefs option. Chiefs, instead of Chiefs, let's look at a HELOC. Let's look at a normal debt instrument. Let's look at a reverse. Let's look at a Chief, and you'll see the power of Chiefs. Also, in the environment, in Wealthy and Wise, it gives also the advisor optionality for, you know, determining future home appreciation, what their historical investment hurdle has been, where they believe it's going to be with a blended portfolio. So all that stressing is available in Wealthy and Wise. You can stress the home, you can stress the portfolio, you can stress a loan, you can stress anything you want. At the end of the day, the proof is in the pudding. The Chief math works. That simple.
As we live longer than any generation before us, one question becomes more important than ever. Will your income last as long as you do? On the 62 Who Knew podcast, we dive deep into the strategies that protect your future. And at the center of every strong retirement plan is guaranteed income. Annuities create income you cannot outlive. They provide stability, protection, and peace of mind, no matter what the market does. Visit 62whoknew.com and start planning the rest of your life today. Today, the average funeral can cost $10,000 to $20,000, and too often families are forced to make difficult decisions at the worst moment of their lives. Final expenses create stress, debt, and heartbreak, right when your loved ones need comfort, not crisis. That's why the 62 Who Knew podcast brings you trusted guidance on final expense insurance, an affordable, compassionate way to protect your family from unexpected financial burdens. Visit 62whoknew.com and learn how a small plan today can spare your family emotional and financial pain tomorrow. And you can see it in black and white. Okay, the danger of doing this live is I could say something I'm not supposed to say or ask a question and have both of you call me later and go, why'd you ask that question? I'm going to go for it.
Go for it.
I've heard of Innsmark. I'm a mortgage guy who turned financial planner a few years ago. I know of Innsmark. You guys have taught me more about it. I keep sitting in on your webinars to learn more about it. It's a staggering software, and it's probably the most powerful software in the financial advisor community. It's also expensive. Okay? Did you mention to me, or was I dreaming this, that if people come through Chiefs and want to have the Innsmark tools available to them, they do get a break in price?
So, Innsmark has dramatically changed their subscription model. They also believe in the power of Chiefs. So Innsmark is no longer charging users an upfront fee. It's now a monthly fee. So that's a dramatic shift in the Innsmark model. That upfront fee used to be $1,900 and I think it was close to
Almost
$2,000.
yes.
Yeah. So that is no longer exist. I think the current fee is, it doesn't exist anymore. It's now $59 per month, and it's powerful. What Innsmark's also doing is they're introducing quick quote type tools. So for those individuals that don't need or require the heavy planning opportunity, and they want to do a quick compare and contrast Chiefs versus cash, that will be available at a later date.
Yeah, that's, $59 a month to have the tools of Innsmark available. Let's take Chiefs out of the scenario for a second, to compare annuities, to compare life insurance, to compare this, to have all the power of Innsmark available to the masses for $59 a month.
Yeah, so in addition to the insurance stuff, I mean, there's 529, there's mutual fund, there's estate planning module, utilization of Chiefs. Yeah. It is powerful, really powerful.
Yeah, oh yeah, absolutely. All right, well, we've covered almost everything. Again, I got to stress to my financial advisors that are watching for the first time, the fourth show of every month from now on is going to be the professional edition of 62 Who Knew. And instead of being consumer facing, it's going to be facing you professionals. And I want to stress to the consumers that are watching, because I know they're all watching, even though you're confused at this point, and rightfully so. So either go to Chiefs on the 62 Who Knew website, contact them, contact me directly, of which there's a half a dozen tabs on our website on how you can do that. Hey, Mike, I'm a financial planner in Ohio. I think our number one state, isn't it, producer Anthony? It's California, isn't it?
Yeah, it's California and Texas.
California and Texas. Let's do California, where those $5 million houses are. If you're a financial planner and you want to learn more about Chiefs, I can put you in touch with these gentlemen. And I know several of their reps in the company. They're incredible professionals and individuals. Integrity comes first. For my consumers that are watching that want some help, contact me directly. Chiefs may be an option for you for all the things that you're doing. May not be, but you'll get an honest answer from myself, from 62 Who Knew, or any one of our national sponsors. Anything else that you guys want to cover before we say adieu?
Oh, well, thank you, Michael, as always, for the opportunity to be your first live podcast. I'm not going to kid you. I did spend an extra 5 minutes in the mirror making sure everything was in place. So thank you, and we really enjoyed it.
Mike, this is great. It's always great to spend time with you, and let's keep doing these live events. They're awesome.
I like it.
Thank you both. Everybody, see you next week. Remember, like, share, and subscribe. Subscribe 3 or 4 times if you can, okay? All right, thank you. Have a great week.